What happened in the previous chapter was Rain and Finn encountered Disaster. During the fight, Rain tried to keep Finn from helping him, arguing that he'd just be a burden. A thrilling clash ensued between the two pole arm users. However, Rain couldn't keep up with Disaster's extraordinary strength and was easily overpowered. Eventually, Disaster explained why he was OP. He explained that he and his siblings gave their hearts to Innocent Zero, so they were given demon hearts to replace them. These hearts reportedly convert magic power into energy to keep them healthy. They can't die until their magic power runs out, and thanks to a little bit of Innocent Zero's blood, they never run out of magic. After that, their fight continued, and when Rain was about to die, something awakened in Finn. He got a second line which indicated his increase in power. He immediately used Changes Second Butterfly Sanitatem, and it released a statue that healed Rain. Because of Finn's awakened power, Rain managed to keep up with Disaster, and soon enough he overpowered him. In the end, our brother duo defeated Innocent Zero's fourth child. Elsewhere, Dot and Lance faced Epidem. Epidem poisoned Dot and explained that what he fed him was a magic deficiency virus that drains a person's magic, and he was the one who created it. Lance was furious, so he insisted on defeating Epidem by himself. Dot tried to reason with him, saying it would be easier if they both fought against Epidem. Nevertheless, Lance stated that he had no intention of teaming up with Dot in this fight, so he should not interfere. Because of that, Dot was filled with frustration and said that if that's what Lance wanted, then so be it. What's up, Onii-Chan? Welcome back to our manga recap series about Mashle, Magic and Muscles, a story that combines elements of Harry Potter and One Punch Man. So let's start the video. Continuing the exciting story of Mash in a world filled with magic, we return to Lance telling Dot that he has no intention of teaming up with him. Dot is irritated and lets him have his way. He says he's tired of it. Wow, what a lover's quarrel. Epidem, on the other hand, wonders if there is a misunderstanding and notes that Lance seems confident about facing him alone. Lance immediately used Graviole, causing damage to the ground. However, Epidem quickly manages to defend against it. Epidem boasts about showing what he can do. Epidem quickly responds and casts his Ori-Halgol. Lance tries to fend off Epidem's attacks, but due to Epidem's abilities, Lance still gets hit. While injured, Dot doesn't pay attention to him. Suddenly, Lance points his wand forward. He releases an extraordinary energy which surprises Epidem. Dot realized that Lance has a new ability that he wasn't aware of. Lance immediately goes into beast mode and a third line appears on his face. When he was about to summon his god, the activation suddenly failed. He wonders why that is. Epidem speculates that Lance hasn't perfected it yet, or he might be losing control due to his anger. Epidem restrains Lance with his orichalcums and declares that without that, Lance is useless. Epidem launches an attack, landing solid hits on Lance. Lance is thrown back and his pendant is removed from his neck. When the smoke clears, Lance is shown to be severely beaten. In Dot's mind, while being stubborn, he says that he did tell Lance that would happen if he insisted on his way. Epidem notices Lance's fallen pendant and picks it up. Upon opening it, Epidem makes a realization. Lance apparently has a sister. The anger that Lance feels. The reason he's so angry is because his sister Anna became one of Epidem's guinea pigs. Because of this, Lance and Dot's hairs stand on end. It seems to be true since Lance has been bitter since earlier. Epidem apologizes because despite his fondness for his guinea pigs, to him, they are nothing but pieces of data. He acknowledges that it's a sad conflict, so he offers Lance some pudding. However, Lance doesn't speak. It seems that Lance doesn't appreciate that, so Epidem decides to do something else. Lance is shocked by what he sees. Using his orichalcum magic, Epidem creates a creature that looks like Anna and can speak. He asks Lance if he's happy now, since there's no difference between it and getting a new pet. Because of this, Lance gets even more angry and fiercely declares that he will kill Epidem. When he moves to attack, Dot suddenly rushes towards Epidem. Dot uses his X-Blom magic and launches a barrage of attacks. However, Epidem easily dodges them. Epidem then comments on how different his skills are from Lance and immediately uses the Ori-Halcus. Dot catches his attacks and doesn't stop. Epidem realizes that Dot doesn't care about attacking him. Dot tries to punch him, but Epidem easily dodges again. As a counter, he wraps his foot in Orichalcum and kicks Dot. Dot is sent flying due to the power. As Dot was gasping for breath, Lance asked what he was doing and said it was his problem. If Dot causes trouble, Lance will kill him. Suddenly, Dot grabbed Lance's shoulder and punched him in the face. Because of this, Lance was surprised. Dot was extremely irritated. Dot explained that he had long been fed up with Lance's useless attitude. When Lance was about to get angry, Dot suddenly aimed his fist at his face. He said Lance's sister was in danger, so why wouldn't he help? Lance could complain all he wanted, but Dot would not back down. Why did he have to carry the weight of that matter all by himself? Aren't they friends? Because of this, Lance was touched, but he kept it to himself and said, Dot handed his pendant to him and said it was important to him, so he should take care of it. After some thought, Lance retaliated by also punching Dot in the face. He explained that it was for Dot's punch earlier. After that, our dynamic duo teamed up and told each other not to be a burden. There was now an intense showdown between our two troops against Epidem. Epidem boasted that even if they teamed up, it wouldn't change the outcome of their fight. Lance took a deep breath and managed to fully unleash his third line. He quickly summoned Nemesis, the god of stars, which surprised Epidem. Next, Lance uses his Graviol Thirds, Nemesis Inclination, which summoned a very formidable monster behind him. Nemesis stared at Epidem, so he decided to use the Ori-Halcus shot. However, it immediately stopped and showed that it was just floating beside a sphere. Epidem couldn't believe it, and when he looked behind him, there was also a sphere. His Orichalcum suddenly flew towards him, and he realized that the two spheres were outputting alternating gravity waves to create a high-speed attack. However, he claimed that he wouldn't lose to that. When he dodged, he noticed that the spheres had multiplied, and he realized they were multiplying. Using Epidem's Orichalcum, Lance's spheres passed it around at an extraordinary speed. This resulted in Epidem getting beaten up. While standing, Epidem was gasping for breath. Lance asked him to tell him how to heal Anna, and if Epidem did that, he would set him free. Epidem just teased him and said he wouldn't tell. Epidem raised his spoon and summoned. He transformed like a scene from Sailor Moon, and he summoned Sisyphus, the god of cunning. He also released his Ori-Halcus box machine gun, and it surrounded Lance and Dot. They immediately started bombarding our friends with attacks. Lance tried to stop them with his magic. However, due to the number of attacks, he couldn't avoid getting hit. Because the attacks came from all directions, he couldn't counter them. Dot tried to face them head-on but was soon knocked away. Dot was bleeding and had to kneel due to his injuries. In Epidem's mind, he felt that Dot had been the weak link. So that was his chance to prioritize him. He was rained down with a lot of Orichalcum, so Lance was alarmed. Epidem's attacks hit and caused a huge impact on the ground. He smiled at this, but as he looked at the smoke, he noticed something. When it cleared, it turned out that Lance had taken all his attacks to save Dot. Because of this, Dot couldn't believe it and asked Lance why had he protected him. Lance just told him to keep quiet. He reminisced about his bonding with Dot and explained that he didn't like Dot. He said that Dot was noisy and such a jerk, and that Dot was too hot-headed too. However, he noticed that he was still going on. He remembered Mashle's words and commented that like them, he seemed to be a fool. And that's when he thought that his sibling was the only reason for his existence. Eventually, he couldn't stand up anymore, and as he lay in Dot's hands, Dot said that he would take care of everything. Lance closed his eyes in Dot's hands, and Dot couldn't believe it. Epidem questioned why Lance chose to save the weaker among them. He said that if their goal was to defeat him, they only decreased their chances. He thought it was not logical at all. He said that what they did was extremely foolish, and if it were up to him, he would never make such a stupid mistake. Dot agreed with this. Dot asked Lance if his sibling still needed his help and whether he still had a lot to do for him. Epidem asked Dot if he still planned to continue their fight. Dot asked why Lance did that for him. Suddenly, Epidem noticed something. Dot lowered the lying lance. Dot went into beast mode and brought out his Era Cruise, saying that he would kill Epidem 100 times. Dot released a rare energy in the area that shocked Epidem. He couldn't understand what was happening with Dot's power. Elsewhere, Orchard's hair suddenly stood on end. In his mind, he felt a terrifying high level of magic. He looked at Famine and wondered if he was the cause, but it wasn't him. The power seemed to come from far away. He explained that there was a person there who unleashed an extremely high level of power. Dot closed his eyes and his wounds began to heal slowly. While watching, Epidem noticed Dot's mark on his forehead. He heard rumors of a rare breed of people whose magic power increases based on their emotional state. This breed is extremely powerful in battle, their violent temperaments and vast power threatening the fabric of the magical society. The Era Cruise. In his mind, he didn't think he would face such a thing in that place. However, he said that the rarity of this power was worthless compared to his orichalcum. His magic was the most powerful and most mysterious substance. When he cast the orichalcus, Dot immediately shattered it. He was shocked and couldn't believe what happened. While watching the destruction of his magic, he was speechless. Suddenly, Dot was shown with a powerful weapon on both his arms. Epidem asked what kind of form that wand was. Dot shouted that he would kill him 100 times and he rained down attacks. Epidem also became angry and immediately used his Third's magic. He used Orichalcus Third's, Sisyphus Inclination, and it produced a creature full of machine guns on its body. He explained that his Thirds produced countless amounts of orichalcum. He didn't know how Dot was able to break them earlier, but he said that shooting that many bullets was impossible. He rained down a myriad of attacks on Dot. Dot took a stand and said 100 deaths. After that, his wand transformed again, and what appeared in his hands were countless guns. Epidem was greatly shocked. While watching the situation, Epidem realized that for every single attack he made, Dot produced a dozen attacks to counter it. As Dot's attacks were approaching him, he reminisced about his adoption of a pudding. After that, he thought to himself that the pudding had completed his life. That was his greatest love. Before long, Dot's barrage of attacks hit Epidem, causing a massive explosion. As he lay defeated, Epidem thought to himself that Dot truly did what he had said. He was killed 100 times. He was amazed. After that, Dot returned to his original state while gasping for breath. As he looked at Lance, he couldn't believe it. He gritted his teeth and shed tears while reminiscing about their bonding. As he was letting out his feelings, Lance suddenly spoke and asked if he could be quiet. Because of that, Dot stared blankly while Lance explained that he was trying to cure his headache. Dot was taken aback and asked if he didn't die. Lance explained that his collection of Ana pins protected him as they surrounded him. As Lance was explaining, Dot got irritated and tossed him aside. In the end, our dynamic duo defeated the third child of Innocent Zero. And that's where this video ends. Who do you think will be featured in the next battle? Will our hero Mash ever wake up? Write your comments down below. If you want more anime and manga recaps, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on new videos.